Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Alex and you are watching BC Adventure. Today we're going to be setting up a Windows 10 virtual machine in Unraid using Unraid version 7.0.1. My last video on setting up a Windows 10 virtual machine in Unraid was using a older version of Unraid. And since upgrading to 7.0.1, I noticed that there are some changes inside setting up a virtual machine now. So I just wanted to go over the updated process, which isn't very different at all, really. But I wanted to do an updated version with the new Unraid 7.0.1. So let's jump into it. All right, so if this is your first time setting up a Windows virtual machine on your Unraid instance, there's one step that we're going to need to do before we get started. And that is we need drivers for Windows. We need to give Windows access to our resources. And in order to do that, we're going to need to grab what's called VirtIO drivers. As you may have guessed by the title, it stands for Virtual I/O Drivers. So really easy to get. All you're going to need to do is open up a browser and head on over to Google. And from here, we're going to search for the Unraid VirtIO drivers. And we are going to look for the Proxmox ones. So the reason we're using these is because they are prepackaged, ready to go, and all we need to do is download the ISO. And to do that, we just click on download the latest stable. So we're going to go ahead, click allow, and we see here that it's downloading. And then once that's done, you're going to need to, oh, where'd my window go? You are going to need to copy them over into your ISOs folder on Unraid. And what that does is it gives you access to the drivers when setting up the virtual machine instance. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So we're going to click Add a Virtual Machine. We're going to select our Windows version. And then from here, we're going to give it a name. So I'm just going to call this Windows 10 Demo. We can describe it if we want, or we can override the storage location, which we're not going to do. We're going to leave the CPU mode on host passthrough, and then we're going to select the amount of cores that we want to give it. So I'm going to give it 8 cores and 8 threads. I'm going to do that off each CPU. Next step, we need to set up our memory. Now, I've got a good amount of memory in my server, so I'm going to give it 32 gigs. And then next, we need to select our installation media. So we're going to select Windows 10. So I have Tiny 10, so I'm actually going to use that for our example. And again, if this is your first time setting up a virtual machine in Unraid, you're going to need to make sure that you have your installation media for the operating system in that ISOs folder. So mine's, of course, already in there. And then here we need to select the VirtIO ISO drivers. And we're just going to go down to the VirtIO Win. Next step, we need to set our virtual disk size. I'm going to go ahead and set mine at 128 gigs for this. And that is all we need to do in order to get our virtual machine created. So there are some extra features for or options for the advanced user. And of course, we can always pass through our USB devices we have connected, which I'm not going to do. So we've got everything set up the way we want it. So we're just going to go ahead and click Create. So if you remember setting up a Windows machine, we need to make sure we are hitting the spacebar to actually boot into the installation media. So it's going to go ahead and do that. So we'll jump in as soon as we are ready to start the setup. All right, so we're good to start inputting info now. So we're going to go ahead and click Next. Did not catch that. Well, there we go. Accept license terms. And here's where we need to start loading drivers. And as you can probably see, the mouse is pretty glitchy, and that's one of the downsides to using a web browser to connect to our virtual machine. So the first thing we're going to do before we add the hard drive drivers is we're going to load the network drivers. So we'll go to Browse. And here we see the virt.io drivers. We're going to expand that, and we're going to open up NetKVM. And we're going to go down to Windows 10 and AMD 64. And we'll click OK. Then from there, we'll click Next. And it's going to go ahead and install the Ethernet adapter driver. So then that way, when the setup process is happening, it can get any updated software packages that it needs while it's doing the installation. So for the hard drive, we're going to go to the same place that we went to, the virt.io. And here we're going to go down to the bottom, and we need to go to VIO Store and Windows 10, AMD 64, and OK. And here we have the Red Hat Virtual IO SCSI controller. Now this is the driver that we need to install a hard drive. One thing I just want to point out is that you do not need to do this if you are installing a Linux or Ubuntu virtual machine. Linux and Ubuntu already have all this stuff built in. So it's not necessary to worry about this stuff when you are installing a Ubuntu or Linux virtual machine on Unraid. So now that we got that selected, we'll go to next. And it's going to load those drivers into the virtual machine. And then from there, we're going to have a accessible hard drive. And it'll be the 128 gig size that we set. So we'll just go ahead and click next. Unless you want to partition it a little bit differently, I'm just going to be using the default hard drive for this demonstration. So it's going to go ahead now and it's going to start copying files over. It should be a fairly quick process if you have your ISO files stored on your cache drive. Because my cache drive is a Gen 4 NVMe, it's pretty quick. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this to finish up. And then we'll jump in when Windows is ready to ask us 9,000 stupid questions that we need to answer in order to get up and running with Windows. So as soon as this is done, we'll jump right back into it. All right, so let's go ahead and run through. Oh, there we go. That's running a lot better now. Go ahead and, oh, never mind, eat my words. So yeah, we'll run through the setup process here. Tiny 10 is just the same as most. Just has less bloat attached to it. But still the same invasive crap you have to run through for a standard Windows 10 installation. If you are interested in getting Tiny 10 for yourself, it's available on the Internet Archive, and you do need a license to fully activate it, just like any Windows 10 version. The difference with Tiny 10 is that it has a lot of the extra crap removed. So it's a smaller installation and works just as great as any Windows 10 installation. Yeah, some hard questions and answers. And of course, run all through this crap. Don't worry, there's more. So I was wrong. There's not more. It's been a while since I've installed Tiny 10. So it didn't ask us to log into an online account. It didn't run through the Cortana nonsense, and it's now just jumped us right into getting the Windows 10 instance up and running. There are a couple extra drivers that you can install off the VirtIO CD that'll be auto-mounted to the Windows virtual machine. However, what I like to do is actually use snappy drivers. Check them out. They're completely free, open source, and it basically does an inventory of your system at the I/O level and then provides all the latest drivers for your particular system without having to do any searches. I've only ever had issues with one particular device, and that was my 10 gig fiber network card. It's such a rarely used card that they just don't have drivers for it, and that's okay. I do. So here we go. We're now inside the Windows 10 instance. I'm gonna exit out of that silly little pop-up, and we will just open up a window here. So if we go over to this PC, we'll still see that the VirtIO driver is still in, CD is still mounted, as well as the Windows installation media. Here we see our hard drive. It's used 27 gigs or 26 gigs, however many, for the install, and we've got 101 gigs remaining. Yeah, it really is that simple to get a virtual machine up and running on Unraid. Linux is even simpler. It just works, and you don't need to mess around with drivers or anything. It just automatically installs them, which is amazing. So yeah, that's in reality, in under 20 minutes, you can have your own Windows 10 virtual machine up and running. So if you are a Mac family, much like my household is, you can do Windows things on a Windows machine from your Unraid instance. And if you have a USB hub, you can actually plug that into one of your USB ports, pass that hub through to your virtual machine, and then you can actually plug in devices to your virtual machine to use on Unraid. So ton of things you can do, ton of features. The possibilities are endless, or rather to the abilities of your imagination. So do go ahead, check it out, try it out. You can do an installation of Tiny 10 just go ahead and head on over to the Internet Archives and you can download a copy. Of course, you can use a paid-for version if you like. Just be careful because some of the Windows serial numbers do attach to the device you've installed it to. So if you remove this virtual machine, you would need to buy another license in some cases to get your paid-for version of Windows 10 installed again. All right, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Like and subscribe. Check out the merch store. Use discount code YT10 at bcadventure.shop. Yeah, got some great BC Adventure merchandise for sale. Anything you buy does go to support the channel. And, well, it helps me make future content. Yeah. All right, I will catch you in the next one, everyone. Take it easy.